Good morning, everyone. We're going to wait just a quick minute and let people jump on. I'm Jamie, the Account Services Manager at Q Media Solutions.
I'm Taylor, digital strategist here.
Hope everyone
Well,
is out there enjoying that beautiful weather.
yeah, it is definitely nicer, so that is a positive.
It's gorgeous today.
Yeah, and the wind doesn't seem to be too bad, so that is also a positive.
Yeah, that famous South Dakota wind yesterday, I tell you, that was crazy.
Yeah, for sure. My dog even did not enjoy the wind. She was at the point where she was like, "Okay, we can go back in now," which is very surprising for her.
Yeah, it kept knocking over my little dog. It
I'm
was fun.
sure it did.
Well, we can go ahead and get started. Again, good morning. We have a quick question for you to think about while we kick things off. So, do you actually know who your biggest competitors online are? And I don't just mean the companies that you think you compete with, I mean the ones that are taking clicks, visibility, and attention from Google every day. Today, we're going to talk about how businesses can identify their real competitors in search, and then more importantly, how to uncover opportunities to be able to outperform them.
One of the biggest mistakes businesses make is defining competitors based on industry, geography, or who they lose deals to. But Google doesn't care about any of that. In search, your competitors are simply whoever ranks for the keywords your audience is searching. And sometimes that's not who you expect. We've seen clients focused on a handful of local competitors, but when we actually look at search results, the traffic is going to national brands, niche blogs, directories, media sites, and even manufacturers.
Yeah, and that's usually the first big mind shift. You're not just competing with businesses like yours, you're going to compete with whoever owns the attention around those searches.
So, step one is figuring out what people are actually searching for, not just what you want to rank for. A lot of businesses stop at broad service keywords, but the better opportunities usually come from those intent based searches. So, instead of just searching for commercial loans, you start looking at best lenders for industrial properties, commercial real estate financing options, or how to qualify for a commercial loan.
And this is really where things start to get interesting. Once you search those terms, you start seeing who actually dominates that conversation.
Right. And what you'll usually notice is that it's not the same type of result every time. Sometimes it's direct competitors, directories, long form guides, or comparison articles. A good example is IT services. A local IT company might think they're competing with other providers, but for searches like how to prevent ransom attacks, the first page is filled with cybersecurity blogs and enterprise companies.
Which means if all you have are service pages, you're already going to be considered behind. Because Google's rewarding educational content for that search, not sales pages.
And honestly, this is something businesses overlook all the time. They assume the goal is just get our service page to rank, but sometimes Google is telling you the opposite. For example, if someone searches best CRM for small business, Google's usually going to favor comparison content, reviews, guides, and top 10 style pages, not a homepage for a CRM company.
Right, because the user isn't ready for a sales pitch. They're still researching.
Exactly. So if your strategy only focuses on that bottom of the funnel pages, you're missing huge visibility opportunities earlier in the decision making process. And that's often where trust actually starts getting built. Now, once you know who's consistently showing up, the next step is figuring out why. So you want to look at patterns. Are the pages more in depth, better structured, answering multiple questions, or more specific to a niche or use case? And honestly, sometimes the answer is just that the content is more helpful. We'll see competitors ranking for something like website redesign cost, but the page barely answers the question. No pricing ranges, no examples, no breakdown of what impacts cost.
So it does rank, but it's not necessarily good content.
Exactly. And that's the opportunity.
Honestly, we've seen this happen in real client situations several times. A company comes in thinking they just need to rank higher, but after we get to digging in, the bigger issue is that they're creating content for the wrong kind of searches.
Right. Once we shift the focus towards searches that actually match buyer intent and the competitors who are consistently winning those spaces, the strategy becomes much clearer. Because now we're not chasing traffic for the sake of traffic. We're aligning visibility with the kinds of searches that actually lead to engagement, trust, and conversions.
This is the part clients usually get pretty excited about because now we're not just analyzing competitors, we're identifying where we can actually win.
Right. The goal isn't to copy what your competitors are doing, it's to find what they're missing, what they're only partially answering, where intent isn't fully matched, or where the experience just isn't great. That's where the better strategy wins. Better clarity, better targeting, better structure, and more useful content.
So, what's interesting is that once businesses understand this, they also start realizing where they've been wasting a lot of their efforts.
Yeah, and there are a few common things we all see or we see all the time. One is chasing really broad, high volume keywords just because they sound important, like wanting to rank for something super general like marketing agency or IT services.
When realistically, the competition there is massive and the intent is usually all over the place.
Exactly. Meanwhile, there might be much stronger opportunities around niche services, industry specific searches, problem based searches, or comparison focused content. Those are usually easier to compete in and more likely to convert. Another mistake is creating content without actually looking at the search results first. Businesses will publish a page thinking this should rank, but they never stop to ask, what is Google already awarding here?
And sometimes the format alone will tell you everything. Like if you have a top result, if a if every top result is like a guide or a checklist and you publish a short sales page, Google's probably not going to see that as its best fit.
Exactly. That's why competitor analysis is less about copying competitors and more about understanding the environment you're trying to compete in.
And this is really how we approach strategy at Key Media. We're not just asking, how can we get more traffic? We're asking ourselves, where does the opportunity actually exist and how can we position clients to compete there?
Exactly, because search is really just the lens. The bigger conversation is who owns attention in your space and how do we help clients earn more of it?
So, if there's one takeaway from today, your biggest competitors online probably aren't who you think they are.
And once you understand who's actually winning visibility, the path to outperforming them becomes a whole lot clearer and more strategic.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're happy to break down any specific examples or industries after this. If anybody wants to dive in deeper, you can go ahead and drop a comment or questions in the chat. We'd be happy to reach out um, after this is done and answer anything more specific or have a deeper conversation with you about it.
Yeah. Or if you have any topics that you'd like us to touch on later on in a different 10 at 10, please go ahead and shoot them our way. We would be more than happy to do that as well. So,
Have a great day.
thank you.